Hi, I wanted to show you how I go about emptying an egg when it's dyed but not yet varnished. So the first thing you do before you get ready to blow out an egg is you have to decide which end you want the hole in. If I'm going to make it an ornament, I like to have the ornament cap covering the egg, the hole, so I could decide, do I want the egg hanging this way with the skinnier egg end up, or do I want the egg hanging this way with the fatter end up? I think in this case I'm going to actually make it so the egg goes into a stand, in which case I'd want the fat end down, and so I'm going to put the hole at the very bottom, the fat end of the egg. And so the first thing I'm going to do, because I still have some naked shell on here with dye, I want to protect that dyed area from any water or egg goop. So I'm going to cover around the hole about the size of a quarter or $1/2 with wax. So I'm going to heat up my Kiska. I'm using an alcohol lamp here, using 91% rubbing alcohol. You can also use something, a denatured alcohol. And I'm using dyed black beeswax. Beeswax can come in all sorts of colors. There's natural, there's blue, there's black. Any of it will work. The black or the blue is nice in that you can see what you're doing a little bit better. And so I'm just going to, I could even circle the area that I want. So about that, I don't know if you can see that, about that size. So now you can see I have covered the area about the size of a quarter, and $1/2 is even a safer amount, around where I'm going to poke the hole. You really only need to cover areas that are not already covered with wax. In this particular egg, that's very limited to these little crosses and the individual things. So I really only needed to cover those little bits. But for the sake of demonstration, I did the whole area. So you can see I'm going to be protected. All of this will be, this part of the dye will be protected under that wax. So if any goo or egg water comes out of the hole right around there, the dye will not dissolve. So now we've got the egg with the wax at the end cap. And the first thing is to start a starter hole. I use a thumbtack. You could also use any kind of sharp pointy tool, and all would probably work. And if you can still see the geometry of your egg, see if you can get it right in the middle of the where the geometry lines up. And this is kind of scary. The beeswax makes it slippery, and it's going to take a decent amount of force. And I'm just going to push straight down until I hear a little pop. You don't have to go actually all the way into the egg, just until it makes a teeny little hole. Then I'm going to use my bead reamer tool with a cone-shaped tip. This is a diamond dusted tip, and I'm going to put it right into that little starter hole, and I'm going to twist back and forth and back and forth, putting a teeny bit of downward pressure. You're not really forcing it through, you're letting the tool do its work, and I can actually kind of feel it going and kind of eating through the eggshell. It's going to make a little bit of dust, so it may be better to do it like over the sink where the dust can catch in the sink, and then you can wash it down the sink. And I'm not going to have the tool go all the way through the egg, but I'm going to go till it's kind of 2/3 of the way through, maybe until it's about right there. And you can see I've got a decent hole now. Then I'm going to use this bead reamer tool to try to get the membrane out. There's kind of a membrane layer here that I hope you can see. And I want to remove that. There's also a little bit of extra wax. And this is hard for me to describe, but I go in And there's kind of a little flap here. So I'm going to see if I can get this one section removed. I'm going to go in, and then I'm going to lift up and spiral around at the same time. And I actually got a piece of that membrane off of the egg. See if I can do that again on the next side. I'm going to go down in, then slide it into the edge and go around, and at the same time lift up. And again on that last little flap, I go down in, press towards the edge. You don't want to pick, you don't want to break the eggshell and bring pieces of the shell up, but I'm just going to kind of gently slide up and around as I'm bringing it up, and I'm going to remove some of that membrane. All we need is bits. It's nice if you can get all of it out, but as long as you get some bits, it's good. And then I'm ready to blow. So I'm going to use this 1-hole egg blower, and water is your enemy now, and egg goop. That's why we wax this large area around the hole. So I just blow right into the sink. So you can either put it in here and tip the whole thing at once, like this, or you can put the egg, flip it upside down, and put your egg blower into the hole. And now the trick is you want to always keep your egg vertical. If I go like this to tip it, to see where the hole is, there's a chance the egg goop will run down the egg. So I'm going to just use my mouth on the mouthpiece and blow, and it's not that head exploding egg blowing that people remember from growing up where you put 2 holes in. And basically the egg is coming out around the hole, around the tool where the hole is. So that's why the hole has to be big enough for the tool to fit in and egg to come out. And I kind of use the tool to mix it a little bit to break the yolk. I think maybe that was always the problem with the 2-hole method, is that the yolk would get plugged in the hole. This egg coming out is sort of bluish, greenish, so that's why we definitely don't want to eat any of this egg. Oh, and the yolk is starting to come out. And then I've got air. So I have most of the egg out now, and I'm going to do a little rinsing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse my tool off, remembering to keep my egg whole side down. And I'm actually going to put some water into my tube, and I can actually see where it comes out here. And I'm going to blow that water up into the egg to rinse out the shell. I'll do that a couple of times. Put water into my pipe till I see it coming out here. Blow. And I'm going to do it one more time. And I'm watching what comes out, and if it's super clear, then I know it's just water. If it's got some yellow in it or some thick spots, then I want to stop. Oh, I want to do it a couple more times. So that feels pretty good. Still keeping my egg vertical. Forgot that part. I'm going to take paper towel and pat its bottom dry. So you want to have some paper towel by the ready. And now I can see there's a little bit more membrane there sticking out. So I'm going to go back in and clear that out. And that's how I blow the blow my egg without having any of the egg, the egg or the water dissolve or dissolve any of the dye. Before I remove the wax, I am going to let it dry a teeny bit, and I'm going to rip a little bit of paper towel off and fold it into a cone shape. Kind of squeeze it at the top. And I'm going to use it as a wick and let the paper towel and the wick out the moisture out of the egg. So kind of hold it upright for a little bit. Sometimes I'll even put it in a little egg holder or in a little vase and let the wick remove a little bit more of the moisture. And then we're ready to empty off the wax. If I have several eggs to empty out at once, I will often use an aquarium pump. And so this is a pump you can buy at any big box store. You also need a tube, so you connect the tubing to the pump on one end, and on the other end you take the cap off of an egg blower, and then the pump, you kind of have to, you may have to put it underwater to get it heated up to take it off. And then the pump hose goes over that cap. And then same thing, I'm gonna make a hole, kind of guessing where the top of that egg is, or where I want the hole to be. Make my starter hole. Use the Dremel, or the bead reamer. I'm gonna go over my sink to catch any eggshell dust. Letting the tool do the work, not pushing so hard that I'm cracking the shell. And again, not going all the way in, maybe about 2/3 of the way in. Using the other bead reamer to remove the membrane, sliding up and around, up and around, up and around. Then I'm going to plug in my egg blower, and it does vibrate, so sometimes you can get it making a lot of noise on your counter, and other times you can get it fairly quiet. So this time I don't have to put my mouth on this. I've just got a gentle flow of air coming out of here. And I'm gonna blow, because this is a undyed egg, I can actually use this for cooking, for breakfast. I kind of wiggle the egg, one whole egg blower around in there to start wiggling out the egg yolk, breaking it up. Here comes the yolk. So if I have lots of eggs to blow out, I will hook it up to the aquarium pump. If it's just one, or you don't want to invest, it may be like $15 US for the egg pump, for the aquarium pump and the hose. It's not much. The nice thing about blowing out eggs in advance, and this will work if you have your entire egg, dyed egg, covered in wax, but I can just run it under the sink and flush water into there. There we go, there's the vibration. And put my thumb over the hole and give it a shake, and then blow that water out with the same tool. This technique would also work if you have removed the wax and varnished the egg. Everyone does it in slightly different steps. There's no one right way to finish an egg. And I can even give it a really good shake, because there's water all on the outside and the inside. And then again, I'm going to use a piece of paper towel, fold it into a plug, fold it into a little triangle, rolled a little bit, and slid into there to help absorb the water. I had one more thought. I don't know. So I'm ready to make cookies now. I'm ready to make scrambled egg. You can even freeze this. If you're emptying a lot of eggs, you can freeze the insides. But you definitely want to use that if you're going to blow out the eggs first. So I could do a whole bunch of eggs and be ready for my omelet.